Yo, yo, yo. All right, just going to make sure that my audio's coming through. Make sure that the video's coming through all right, and then I'm going to get started. What's going on, Hafid? See you in the chat. Thank you for joining us, man. Hafid, what's going on, brother? All right. A lot of things have happened since my last stream. Definitely some big news going on in the world of football. And then some big stuff that's come out today. Obviously, I'm sure some of you that are joining me have probably seen the... Adam. Sorry, brother. What's up, Adam? Sorry, dude. I just saw your chat. What's up, Adam? How you doing, man? Yeah, obviously some of you have probably seen the title of the stream today. Reports came out. Darwin Nunez could be leaving Liverpool Football Club and headed to Saudi Arabia. It appears as though, based on the reports from the likes of from Fabrizio Romano, that Darwin could be leaving Liverpool. I think that this is ass. Adam said, "I'm good." That's great to hear, brother. Thank you for joining us today. I really, really do appreciate that, man. I really, really do appreciate that. Yeah, Liverpool selling Darwin Nunez is not the best move, in my personal opinion. I think, unfortunately, the move is, I think, indicative of something that we've been waiting for quite some time, and that is the probable reality that that Alexander Isak will be going to Liverpool Football Club. I think we've all known this for quite some time, and I don't think Liverpool are going to make the move with Darwin Nunez unless they are confident that the Alexander Isak move is going to happen. Adam said, "Glory, glory, Man United." No. No. I appreciate that. I want a United supporter in the chat, Adam, and I appreciate your presence. But no glory, glory, Man United over here. Well, over there you can say it, of course. But, yeah, the Nunez, look, when I think as Liverpool fans, as football fans in general, I think when we look back at the Darwin Nunez situation at Liverpool, it's definitely a little unfortunate. It's definitely one of those situations that I think most of us wish had gone differently. I have always been someone that has been critical of Darwin Nunez, but not overly critical. I think no need to apologize. He said that Adam said, "Thanks, dude. I'm sorry." No need to apologize, Adam. No need to apologize at all, brother. Listen, if I was on a stream with a United supporter, I'm probably saying you'll never walk alone. So you say, "Glory, glory, Man United." Don't you ever apologize for saying it. Yeah, the Darwin Nunez situation at Liverpool, I think most of us as fans will look back, will be upset with how it panned out. We'll feel as though we wished it went differently. And now, just a big point of clarification. Obviously, the news came from Fabrizio Romano that Darwin could be moving on, but there's no definite yet. So we'll have to wait and see. If it's completely definite. Allegedly, the terms between Liverpool and Al Hilal have been agreed upon, but apparently it's up to the player now at this point. And when I think it gets to that point, there's a chance that he does turn down the move, but I think it's likely he's probably going to leave, especially when his own club says that they're okay with the move. But on the flip side of things, depending on what Darwin Nunez's aspirations is in football, there's a chance he stays at Liverpool. I just don't think he'll get as much time as maybe he would have wanted. Adam said, "I want to sub to you." I appreciate it, man. Please do sub to me. I make videos throughout the week. Don't forget to I got my other socials up filtering throughout the screen and in the description as well. And then for any of you watching along right now, I do have, and you probably saw it on the screen on today's stream. What I'm trying to do, I've never done it before, is a call-in mailbox. If you go down to the description of this stream, there is a link for my SpeakPipe. This is a voicemail service where I can take callers, or rather take in voicemails that I will look to later on in the stream after we go over our big topics. If we have any voicemails from any of you guys, I'm probably going to play some of them. The only thing I ask is please do not say anything heinous on them. That's probably the only thing that I have thought about is the potential for, people saying something egregious and then I'm live on YouTube and, that's never good. I don't know how that would negatively impact. But, of course, like I said, SpeakPipe down below in the description. Feel free to drop a voicemail if you guys want. If I don't get any today or if I only get a couple, maybe I'll hold off and I'll do it next stream. But, yeah, that is what we're looking to do on today's stream. The Darwin Nunez situation, I don't think there's too much more to cover on it, guys. I think it's an unfortunate situation. How it's Adam said, could I give a voicemail? Absolutely, dude. Just click the link. I think you could drop one and later on in the stream. If you go down to the description, there should be a link for SpeakPipe. If you click that link, it will bring you to a voicemail site, and I believe you should be able to drop a voicemail to me. That once I get through the topics on today's show will be played out live. It could be anything you want, as long as it's not egregious, as long as it's fairly clean. I don't care if you say like shit or anything like that, but don't be saying anything, not that you would, Adam. I know you wouldn't, but I mean, just putting that disclaimer out for anyone. Okay, yes, the Darwin Nunez situation, I think we're done with that, but a big topic that came out in the world of football this week that I haven't had the opportunity to talk about is the Benjamin Sesko situation. Now, if you guys have been following the whole situation around Sesko, a bid came in from Newcastle United. Newcastle have been interested in him for a number of weeks now. Sesko's been kind of a player who's been sought after by a couple clubs in Europe, specifically the Premier League. Coming from Red Bull Leipzig, and Arsenal were linked with him obviously before they brought in the signing of Gyökeres. So yeah, I think Benjamin Sesko has been someone who's been sought after by, I think, the clubs like Liverpool, the clubs like Arsenal, who are in the hunt for a new player. It has I think he's been sort of on the back burner for a lot of teams. Thank you, Adam. All right, Adam dropped. So we're gonna try this out right now, Adam. You are going to be, Adam. You're damn near a record breaker here. You're going to be the first one I've ever done a live voicemail from. So let's see if this works. You'll have to let me know below in the chat, Adam, if you can hear yourself coming through here. So I'm going to play you right now.
Well, I wanted to say that I'm happy. I'm the kind of commenting because I think that your team is well doing it. I think that I love your content. You will make a big someday. Remember that, and if I could, I would just ask the question.
Adam, were you able to hear yourself by any chance, man? I was able to hear it in my headphones, but I don't know if it's coming through on the let me see. It might not have came through, so I may have just been sitting there on dead air, and I know there's a little bit of a delay. You could hear it? Oh, that's awesome. All right, I'm going to run it back because I couldn't actually hear it that well. So I'm going to run it back here, Adam, because I couldn't hear what you were saying that great.
Do you like play? I don't know. Do you have like games or something? Maybe we can talk about. Maybe. Well, I wanted to say that I'm happy. I'm like I'm just commenting because I think that your team is doing it. I think that I love your content. You will make it big someday. Remember that. And if if I could, I would just ask a question. Do you like play? I don't know. Do you have you play games or something? Maybe we can probably we can have this one and probably add this so we can talk together a bit. I will really appreciate it.
So I couldn't hear you there that clear, Adam. I don't know if that's a issue with the service I'm using, or damn, I couldn't. I know you said you could hear it. Was it coming in real clear for you, man? You'll have to let me know, because I couldn't hear it that great. Which that might be an issue on my end. I'm gonna try to listen in on my phone and hear what you said.
Well, I wanted to say that I'm happy. I'm like I'm just commenting because I think that your team is doing it. I think that
Yeah, I think there was an issue. I appreciate your voicemail, man. I think there was an issue with I think it kind of got a little messed up. So you know what we'll do, Adam? Try to leave another one, and um I'll listen to that after I go through a couple of these other topics. All right, buddy. Sorry about that, man. I just couldn't hear what you were saying. I think it came through a little messed up. I don't know if maybe the stream was playing in the background or something like that. But let me hear if it's coming through well on the stream.
I think that I love your content. You will make it big someday. Remember that. And if I could, I would just ask a question.
Yeah. Adam, were you able to? So I just listened to it on my coming through on my phone on my stream, and it sounded like it was a little messed up, Adam. So if you could, brother, if you're still there, try to drop another voicemail on the speak pipe, and we'll listen to it later in the stream. And if anyone else is watching along with us, please make sure to drop a voicemail for me. I'm going to listen to them a little later on. Hopefully, the technical difficulties get kind of figured out a little bit, and yeah, I couldn't hear it that much coming through my headphones, and it sounds like it came through a little messed up on the stream as well. But we're going to move on to the Benjamin Sesko situation. Adam, I appreciate you if you're still rocking with me, brother. Benjamin Sesko, sought after very, very much from a ton of big European sides. One in particular, obviously, is Newcastle United as well as Manchester United. I think Sesko is a player that, while he was sought after by the likes of, Arsenal, a couple other clubs, it seemed as though he was kind of always a second option for a couple teams. And, Arsenal obviously secured the Victor Gyökeres signing. And then, we saw Newcastle United go in for Ben Sesko. And as that happened, Manchester United came in. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. How do I feel about the Manchester United signing of Gyökeres, or Manchester United bid for Benjamin Sesko, rather? Last time I streamed, I believe it was on Saturday, or maybe this topic even got brought up Friday or something like that when I streamed last week. And my feeling on it was that if United came in for Benjamin Sesko, that Ben Sesko was going to Manchester United. And now, a big thing that I've talked about on my videos and in my streams has been the fact that we have Me M said Liverpool well was smart. Don't know what you're talking about there, brother, but you'll have to let me know. Um, the Benjamin Sesko situation, as far as I'm concerned, if Newcastle were to successfully secure a forward, aka Sesko, I felt as though that was going to be the thing that really helped propel the likes of Liverpool potentially bringing in Alexander Isak this summer transfer window. Unfortunately, that has not been the case. Benjamin Sesko, while he initially seemed interested in Newcastle United, and it appeared as though that would be the target or the landing spot for the Slovenian, it seems as though Manchester United have swooped in, and that is the likely place that Sesko could go this summer transfer window. Last stream I had, I talked about it with a few of you if you were watching along, and you know the Sesko conversation was pretty apparent at that point, and people were conversating, saying, well, with Sesko, he plays for Red Bull Leipzig, who is the I don't even know his particular title at Red Bull, but I know obviously Jurgen Klopp is involved with Red Bull, and people were hinting that it's like, Jurgen Klopp is going to come in and he's going to work his magic and he's going to have get in Sesko's ear and tell him that going to Newcastle is a better option for him. I obviously said that, while that may be a potential possibility that Klopp could get in the ear of Sesko, I think that Sesko is not a moron and will understand that, yeah, okay, Jurgen Klopp is giving me advice. Obviously, I want to listen to this. He's one of the best footballing minds currently that we have, but there's clearly an ulterior motive for why he would want me to go to Newcastle and not Manchester United. The obvious part of that is the fact that, the obvious fact of that is that, obviously Jurgen Klopp had a long tenure at Liverpool Football Club, and as I mentioned earlier, the Sesko to Newcastle United would benefit Liverpool because it appears as though the that move is predicated on Newcastle finding a new striker. Adam said, "When are you going to stream tomorrow?" I don't know if I'm going to stream tomorrow, buddy, but I should stream Friday, Saturday, and or Sunday. I sent you a voicemail. Thank you, man. I'll be playing it later on into the stream. I'm hoping that we get a couple other people joining onto the stream today, and I'm going to play a couple voicemails later on. So I appreciate you retrying sending in a voicemail. We're gonna circle back to that a little later after we get through these topics, Adam, and after we get through maybe a couple other voicemails if other people drop that below down in the description for us. Now, my issue with a lot of Liverpool fans saying, "Oh, Jurgen Klopp is going to get into the ear of Benjamin Sesko," is people were in my chat saying, "Limo, who would want to go to United now?" And I think that as Liverpool fans, because we've been doing so well in Europe, doing so well in the Premier League, we have unfortunately developed an unfair disrespect for United. United have been complete and utter shit for a couple seasons now, and when I say a couple of seasons, I mean damn near 10, 15 years. So, but what we need to understand is this is one of the biggest sporting teams in the world. Adam said, "Could you do it right now? I may have to go to bed." Sure, buddy. I'll do it right now. Hopefully, if this comes through clear. Obviously last time it didn't. All right, let's see what we got here from Adam.
What's up, man? How are you? I'm good. Well, basically, I just wanted to say that I have to say it, you are an amazing YouTuber. I just saw you now on streaming, and I absolutely loved it. You're the GOAT. I hope that one day you can be a big person and you can be considered among the greats. of YouTube.
Uh-huh.
And I hope if you want, you could add me on Discord so we can talk a bit if you're fine by that. If not, then it's okay. I accept that.
Thank you, Adam. Man, that was hey, for the first voicemail that I've ever played on the channel, that was sick, dude. I really really appreciate that love that, brother. I really really do appreciate you joining live and saying those nice things about the channel. I don't have a Discord, so unfortunately we won't be able to chat, but I appreciate it, man. And like I said, I stream a couple times a week. So if you're a fan of the game and stuff like that, make sure you jump on. I'm always down to chat when I'm live and everything like that. Thank you. No, thank you, brother. I really really appreciate you sending in that voicemail. That was sick. That I'll tell you what, man, that made my day. So thank you, Adam. And Adam, that's the first voicemail we've ever had on the channel. So I appreciate it, dude. Thank you so much. So yeah, we're gonna jump right back in to the Benjamin Sesko news. Look, the unfortunate reality is the fact that Sesko could be joining Manchester United is something that we've probably, not everyone. When I say we, I mean me. I've seen coming for quite some time. I've seen Benjamin Sesko going to United and picking United over Newcastle for quite some time because they're Manchester United. Granted, do United have Champions League football currently? No, they do not. Do Newcastle? Yes. Is Newcastle guaranteed to get Champions League football week in and week out? Absolutely not. We all know this. We all know Newcastle is a team that over the past couple of seasons, I think in the past 3 years, they've gotten Champions League twice. And that's really, really good from a team like Newcastle. But we're not talking about an Arsenal, a Liverpool, even a Tottenham right now, right? Like, if Tottenham and United were in for a player, I could understand maybe someone pushing the rhetoric that Spurs would be a preferable destination than United, or really any other Big Six team. Spurs might be a little bit. I still even think Manchester United would be a better option than Spurs currently, but you could make that argument. But outside of that, I'm sorry. These players, they want to go play for the best Premier League teams possible. And unfortunately, while Manchester United aren't, well, I say unfortunately, while Manchester United aren't one of the best teams possible, they're one of the biggest sports teams in the world, and quite frankly, they are one of the 3 biggest footballing clubs in the world. So when you really take it into consideration, Benjamin Sesko, if he goes there, he's also looking at a project where United have brought in 2 brand new wingers who are Premier League proven players, being Cunha and Mbomo. And Sesko obviously would be the striker down the middle. He would be joining a new project, not a team that was just struggling as they were last season. It would be a team that has potential to have a little bit of a turnaround. And let's be honest, when you're a player like Sesko and you see a potential project like the one that's at Manchester United, you start to think to yourself that there's a potential for them to be a part of a really potentially big thing and a potentially really important thing at the club of United. Again, like I said, the last stream I had guys in here, and I can't blame them, but they were saying that they felt that Jurgen Klopp could have a little bit of a input when it came to the Sesko move. I felt as though that was naive. I was like, I don't think Benjamin Sesko is that hard-headed to think that Jurgen Klopp wouldn't have an ulterior motive for wanting him to go to Newcastle over United. Number one, he's the former Liverpool manager, so he's not going to like Liverpool Football Club, or he's not going to like Manchester United. On top of that, it's been widely publicized that the Alexander Isak transfer to Liverpool is predicated on the ability for Newcastle to get a replacement for Isak. So essentially, if Jurgen Klopp was to have any input, Sesko would take a step back and say, well, this guy obviously doesn't want me going to his former club's biggest rival, and me going to the club that he's advising me to go to is a benefit to his former club, which he's held very highly at. He's a legend of Liverpool. And I also just don't think Jurgen Klopp did that. Also, like I'll take the position from some people basically hinting as though there's a potential for Jurgen Klopp to do that, but I don't think that it's definitive that Jurgen Klopp is going to pull Benjamin Sesko aside when he's not even. Jurgen Klopp's position at Red Bull is not a solidified position. It's damn near made up. It's like the chief of all footballing activities or some shit like that. It's not like he's the manager of Leipzig. You know, it's not like this is a guy that he has a real kind of back and forth with or relationship with. Adam said, when you make one, can I add you, please? Yeah, man, I don't know if I'm going to make a Discord, but if I ever do, I'll let you know, man, for sure, for some of the people that watch my channel and stuff. Yeah, the Sesko move to United for me, I think a lot of my fans that have joined onto my streams, fans, that sounds so whack. Some of the people that have joined my stream and participated have said that they feel as though Sesko would not be going to United. I've always felt that was more likely that would happen. Ashley said, "What's up, Limo? What's up, Ashley? How we doing? How's your drive home going?" Yeah, it's definitely it's one of those things that I've seen coming. I've thought it was pretty apparent that if United were to come in, that Sesko would pick the bigger club. And the bigger club's United. Newcastle can be upset about that because they've been sitting in the corner the entire transfer window as their transfer targets have gone to bigger teams. And I feel and also too, there's a potential that they're going to lose their best player. But I think that when it comes down to it, you can't hate on the fact that the player wants to move on to a bigger club, and that kind of filters into my next topic: Newcastle in the mud. And Newcastle, unfortunately, is in the mud. And when I say unfortunately, I mean that from a perspective of that I just almost feel bad for Newcastle and their fans, because it's always been a club that I've had, but it's a club that really have shown small club mentality this transfer window. And then on top of that, Newcastle have not gotten nearly any of the transfer targets that they've had this transfer window. The only Adam said, "Dude, I absolutely love you, and I don't even care if you're a Liverpool fan." I appreciate that, brother. I definitely think Newcastle have been made a fool in this transfer window. They 110% are a team that, look, they've had high expectations with some of the potential transfers that they've wanted to bring in, no doubt. But unfortunately, these players have seen bigger clubs come in, and that's been a more attractive project for these players. The perfect example is Brian Mbeumo. Going to Newcastle, unfortunately, is not as attractive of a move as it is going to Manchester United. That might be unfair to a certain extent to Newcastle, because how are you really going to compete with United? But at the end of the day, United, while it sucks for a lot of teams, benefit from their history, and their history is the one of the best in the Premier League. That just is what it is. People cannot like it. People can get upset with the fact that this is the case, but it is the case. United also are an attractive project because United in 3 years could be challenging for a Premier League title. I don't think they will, but there's a potential that they could, given the amount of money that they can spend and the history and the attraction that they get from the best players in the world. Whereas Newcastle, on the other hand, the likelihood that Newcastle is going to be competing for a Premier League in upcoming seasons is highly, highly unlikely. Highly, highly unlikely. Newcastle potentially challenging to finish top four, that seems fairly likely. We could definitely see that. But, Newcastle, unfortunately, I think should have gone after targets that were a little bit more realistic. I know Vissa has been a option for United for quite some time now. I don't know why. Adam said, "Bro, I hate that people don't even pay attention to people like you." Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Hopefully, I'll be honest with you, Adam. The longer I stream for, more people join on and stuff like that, and you start to see more people filter in and participate in the chat. So a lot of the times, I've had some people join in and filter in and out. Weekdays are a little bit less than the weekends. On a weekday, I'll hit like a peak of maybe anywhere from like 14 to 20 viewers. On a weekend, I'm usually sitting with around 20 to 30 viewers typically. But sometimes, I join on a day like today, and not as many people join in. But hey, man, it is what it is. And you'll have to, so we got a chat here. You'll have to forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Arjun said, Sesko's decision was maybe right because he will get a chance to play first squad. I do tend to agree. I actually think the competition at United is probably better in terms of, winning a starting spot, Arjun. I think there's a potential, obviously, that Newcastle, he would have just walked in and been the starter, especially if they were to have sold Alexander Isak. But Arjun, I really think it comes down to first team football for sure. Like Adam said in the chat, over Højlund would be, I think he would walk in and start over Højlund. Maybe if he doesn't play well, the two of them would have to battle for a starting position. But I definitely think that it's just also a more attractive club to play for. I think that when it comes down to it, this is a 22-year-old guy who spent his life, really, really aiming to get better and reach the pinnacle of football. The reality, and as a Liverpool fan, as much as it hurts me, one of the biggest pinnacles of football is Manchester United. Playing for Manchester United is something that many young footballers dream of. Newcastle, of course, is a club that really, really a lot of people respect, and they've been in the Premier League for quite some time. But let's not forget, Newcastle are a club that got relegated 10 years ago. I think 12 years ago, United were winning a Premier League. So I don't think enough people take into consideration, Arjun and Adam, the history that comes with Manchester United and how that weighs an impact into the heads of these players. Benjamin Sesko, the reality of the situation is there's a higher chance of him winning a Premier League at Manchester United than Newcastle United. And that's facts. And I'm not saying that he's going to win the Premier League this season. I'm not saying he's going to win the Premier League the following season. But if you're 22 years old, there's a higher likelihood of you reaching that pinnacle of football with Manchester United than Newcastle. And that's just a fact of the situation. And that just is what it is. And like you said, first team football as well. It's a very, very difficult thing for a 22-year-old guy to get an offer from Manchester United telling them, hey, you can play as the starting striker for Manchester United. You're going to walk in, and that's going to be your position. The same position that Wayne Rooney played, the same position that Eric Cantona played, the same position that Robin Van Persie played. You're going to fill that role for us. Now, on top of all of this with the Sesko situation, I think the big question mark is how good will Benjamin Sesko be? And that's where it gets interesting because Newcastle and United are both pushing out, like, I think somewhere in the line of like 90 million euros potentially for Ben Sesko. I mean, I don't watch Red Bull Leipzig all the time. 90 million is crazy. And now, on the flip side of things, Liverpool just spent like 80 some odd million on Ekitike. But Ekitike, for me, is a risk. But it's not a risk in the sense that Liverpool's season could be absolutely screwed if Ekitike does not hit the peak that he should. You know what I mean? If Ekitike is on a run of bad form when he first starts at Liverpool, okay, well then our front three could be the likes of Salah off of the right, Cody Gakpo off of the left, and then down the middle, if we make the Isak transfer, Isak, but also too on top of that, I think what a lot of people aren't taking into consideration is, you know, the topic of today's video was Darwin Nunez. I don't see a world where Liverpool are willing to sell Darwin Nunez unless they are absolutely confident that Alexander Isak is going to be playing for them this upcoming season. I think Liverpool would be extremely foolish to sell Darwin Nunez at this point and just bank entirely on the fact that Ekitike is going to be our striker. Because what if Ekitike gets hurt? Who's going to play as a striker for us? We literally do not have a backup striker. I think that Darwin Nunez' position in the club became a little risky when we brought in Ekitike and there was still a potential for us to bring in Isak. I think that's what it comes down to, honestly and truthfully. I think that Liverpool are never going to make that move unless they are extremely confident that they are going to bring in Alexander Isak. That's just facts. That's just the facts of the matter. It's just the facts of the matter. And, you know, when it comes down to Newcastle, I think there's been a couple of links with Newcastle. Number one, Ollie Watkins. A lot of people, Ollie Watkins has been a name that's been kind of thrown out there for a couple of these teams. The likes of Newcastle has been one. Also, too, on top of that, Manchester United has been another potential option for Ollie Watkins to land. But the reality of the situation is Ollie Watkins, I believe, is 29 years old. By no means is 29 far too old. All right, I'm going to be 29 in about a month, and people like to call me Unk on TikTok all the time. I kind of like it, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't mind being referred to as Unk. But, 29 is not that old, but 29 is an age that you need to make an impact almost immediately. So I think that is the risk that you have with bringing in Ollie Watkins. And then on top of that, Ollie is not going to be playing at top form, 6 years from now. That's the thing, is when it comes down to why Liverpool or United or Newcastle are bidding so high on the likes of Ekitike and Sesko. They're young. They're like in their early 20s. So the potential for them to play deep into their career is pretty high. Arjun said these strikers, Ekitike, Sesko, and Gyökeres, are new. Fans should realize that coming from different leagues to the Prem is a big jump because the game played in the Premier League is high and complex. Completely agree. All three of them, when it comes down to the players that you just listed, are extreme risks, and I would not be surprised if one, if not more of them, potentially end up flopping. Because I think people do not understand, the real jump of competition from the Premier League, from these other leagues, from Germany, from Portugal. I don't think people understand the massive jump in competition that there is. Arjun, and to anyone else in the chat, don't forget to look down below in the description. There's a link there called SpeakPipe. If you want, you could leave a voicemail for me to call into the show, and I will play it live. We did it earlier for Adam. It was the first one that I ever had on the Premier League Rundown show. So feel free to absolutely call in if your heart desires. And keep participating in the chat, but I do want to give you guys an opportunity for you to be heard. And fortunately, we had Adam. He was the first one to ever participate in the voicemail earlier in the show. He had some really, really nice things to say. Shout out to Adam. But yeah, that's what it comes down to. I do agree, Arjun, that these strikers, Ekitike, Sesko, Gyökeres, their risks, and especially when you take into consideration the age of Gyökeres, I think that's an even bigger risk. Because when you, like I said with Ekitike and Sesko, both fairly younger players into their early 20s, Gyökeres is 27. Now, I actually believe Gyökeres is a little bit of a different risk because he scored a ton of goals in Portugal. Like we said, not the level that the Premier League is, but it's still a high European league. You look at the likes of Sesko. Sesko scored 13 goals last season compared to I don't even know, it was something like 30 or 40 goals from Gyökeres last year. So when you comparatively, you got a guy who's just scoring a ton of goals in Gyökeres, and then you have a guy who, scored 13 goals at Red Bull Leipzig last season. 13 goals. If we're saying that Red Bull Leipzig is here and Manchester United is here in terms of the competition that they're going to be playing, you would expect it to be harder for him to score, right? And in my opinion, if it's harder for him to score, there's a higher chance that he's going to flop just from the output that we've seen at lesser competition. So I do agree, Arjun, that not enough people are talking about the potential for these guys to have off games because we've seen them not compete at the level that the Premier League is. At the end of the day, that's just facts. That's not that's nothing against these other leagues, and if you're a fan of those other leagues, God bless. But it's the facts of the matter that it's just not up to the standard that the Premier League is, and the potential for a flop is higher due to the competition that they've had or they've competed with in the past versus what's to come for them. It's just the facts. It's the facts. And that's why I hate kind of circling back to a Arjun said, I'd like to know what part of you're saying to. What part of what I said you're saying You'll have to let me know, Arjun. Yeah, I think look, circling back, that's a big reason for me that I unfortunately am a little upset with the potential for the Darwin Nunez transfer to Saudi Arabia, because he's going from playing at the best level he could to now a competition that isn't as high as the Premier League. Arjun said, one opinion I want to know. Let me type. Hey, if you want, leave us a voicemail, Arjun. We're taking them. We're taking them live. You could be on the first episode where I'm taking live callers. I already did it for another caller, Adam, earlier today, but also, too, feel free to type in the chat whatever you feel comfortable with. You don't have to leave a voicemail if you don't want to. So feel free. I'm interested. The reason I like to encourage that is I like to hear from you guys. I want to know what your opinions are on these footballing matters or these footballing topics, and I want to give you guys a voice, whether that be through the chat, whether that be through SpeakPipe, whatever you guys are comfortable with, and whatever it is best. But I really want to know what you think. whether it be Liverpool, whether it be United, Arsenal, anything, Manchester City even, who I actually think is a team a lot of people are sleeping on. I think a lot of people have forgot how dominant Manchester City were for over a decade, and now, I think they're going to come fourth in the Premier League this season. Who on earth are these people that, forget who Pep Guardiola is, for God's sakes? Y'all must have forgot. Y'all must have really, really forgot. But hey, it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. So if anyone else is on here, feel free to let me know down below in the chat what else you want me to talk about. Feel free to drop a voicemail, whatever your heart's desire. Okay, this is actually a very interesting topic we got from Arjan, who said, why does everyone hate Chelsea when they have won a Conference League, which is small, which is alright, but a bloody Club World Cup, which is big, and against PSG, which is crazy. So are you saying, let me read that back just so I fully articulate this comment that Arjan left. Why does everyone hate Chelsea when they have won a Conference League, which is small, which is alright, but a bloody Club World Cup, which is big and against PSG is crazy. So I think what you're saying, Arjan, is that it's ridiculous to hate on Chelsea. It's okay for hating on Chelsea for winning a Conference League because it's small, but if you're going to hate on Chelsea for winning a small competition, you should then give them the credit when they win a big competition like the World Cup. I believe that's what you're saying. If I misinterpreted it, you'll have to let me know down below in the chat. I agree. And anyone hating on Chelsea under those parameters is an idiot. Because the reality of the situation is, not only, I don't know if you're a Chelsea fan, Arjun, I certainly am not, but when I get on here, I like to have an unbiased perspective on football teams, and what Chelsea did to PSG in the Club World Cup was nothing less than spectacular. Not only did they go in and beat a team that everyone, myself included, had written Chelsea off against, and also a team which everyone was holding as the best team in the world, which I also was holding PSG to be. Not only did I see that, but I saw Chelsea go out there and play them out of the park. Chelsea were far and away the better team, and while the game finished 3-0, that could have been 5-0. That game was nearly not competitive. And I do have to take an unbiased perspective here, Arjun, and say that while I am a Liverpool fan, this is a PSG team that we saw beat Liverpool and Arsenal in the Champions League. And while they beat Liverpool on penalties, they were far and away the better team against Arsenal. So the credit needs to be given to them. Arjun said, because I've seen some crazy takes from people that hate, comment, and underestimate Chelsea. Yeah, I'll tell you who's not underestimating Chelsea. You're looking at them right now. I actually think Chelsea will finish above Arsenal in the Premier League this upcoming season. Maybe that's a crazy take. I don't really care. I actually think that Chelsea's team looked dangerous. I think Chelsea have made signings with intent and potential. I think João Pedro looks unbelievable. I think Liam Delap looks unbelievable. Pedro Neto has finally come into his own at Chelsea, and on top of that, so has Moises Caicedo. So when you look at the improvements that Chelsea has made over the past couple of seasons, they've made a bunch of very, very good signings, and it seems as though, I don't want to call them dead weight, but some of the players that Chelsea that haven't been living up to their expectations, Nicholas Jackson as one, appear to be leaving the club. There's been a bunch of rumors that Nicholas Jackson is going to be leaving Chelsea, and I think that if he does, that's going to be a really, really good move for Chelsea. You just brought in Hato as well from Ajax. That's another great signing for Chelsea. And there's been a couple players at Chelsea who, in my opinion, were damn near on fraud watch. Marc Cucurella for a little bit was on fraud watch. He's improved greatly, one of the best left backs in the Premier League. Moises Caicedo struggled a little bit when he first came to Chelsea. One of the best holding midfielders in the world on current form. And we'll see if that improves. You know, people like to talk about how yeah, Caicedo's done well now, but don't forget, the run of form when he wasn't playing that great. Let's also not forget the fact that Liverpool also went in 100 million on Moises Caicedo, and they didn't do that for nothing. We want to talk about how Liverpool have this great intuition. Well, they wanted to go in for Caicedo. Caicedo said, no, I want to go to Chelsea, which is probably a big reason that I think the London connection there was probably a big reason. Arjun said Nico Jackson is having talks with Newcastle, which seems sus because why would they need a striker with having Isak? I think Newcastle have basically come to grips with the fact that Isak needs to leave. I don't see a world where the club and Isak's relationship are mendable. I think it's gone past that point entirely, Arjun. I think and now Newcastle are in scramble mode. Excuse me. I think they thought there was a good chance that they would bring in Benjamin Sesko. That doesn't seem likely. With Manchester United obviously being interested, I think there's little to no chance that that Sesko ends up going to Newcastle. But yeah, I think I do believe that Newcastle need to bring in a striker, and I think Jackson's obviously been linked with them. I think Vissa is a more reasonable option for Newcastle. I think if they spend money, especially the money that Chelsea are asking for Nicholas Jackson, I think that they are mad. Arjun, are you a Chelsea fan? You'll have to let me know. We can go through all things Chelsea, to be honest with you. I went through some of the big topics that I wanted to talk about today. So if you have anything Chelsea related, or if you have anything else that you want me to talk about, please let me know down below in the chat. I'd love to get your opinion on things, and I'd love to share mine. But yeah, I think when it comes down to it, and it's interesting that you said a lot of people have been disrespecting Chelsea, because I haven't seen a lot of people disrespecting Chelsea. I've actually seen a lot of people, like myself, praising Chelsea and stating that they believe Chelsea could be a team with some potential in the upcoming season. I think Chelsea have been brilliant in the transfer window. I think Chelsea were brilliant in the Club World Cup, and now they have Champions League football. See, this is the thing. When these big six teams start qualifying for Champions League again, like for a couple of years there, it seemed as though it would have been a struggle for Chelsea to compete regularly and qualify for Champions League. But once they start regularly getting Champions League again, these players, they're like, well, I want to go play for Chelsea and play in the Champions League, or I want to go play for United and play in the Champions League. I think that's not that unreasonable. Sorry, I just messed up my camera. You have to excuse me. Arjun said, Isak should not leave because he will play UCL next year, so should stay one season, then maybe decide. Yeah, I'm a Chelsea fan. I understand what you're saying, Arjun, but I think he showed his hand a little bit too much here, if I'm being honest. I think that he's made it way too apparent that he wants to go play for Liverpool, and I think other clubs are not going to be as interested in him, especially when you take into consideration, right? Arsenal have made their move for their striker already. Newcastle are already looking for a replacement. Liverpool have been looking for a striker. United are bringing in Sesko. So the big name options that could be available for him are fleeting. I don't know if... And again, if he stays at Newcastle and Newcastle are looking to replace him in the future, and Newcastle know, hey, he's going to leave after this season anyway, they're not going to give him that much playing time. They're going to give him enough to keep his value high, but they're not going to, like... I don't know. I think that relationship is severed. I got to be real. And I talked about it a little bit earlier in the in the stream, Arjun, where I said... I felt as though Liverpool willing to sell Darwin Nunez, for me, was telling, because that means that they have the an idea that a replacement could be pending. So by selling Darwin Nunez, there's a potential opportunity for them to bring in a replacement. Obviously, they've already brought in Ekatike, who can play off of the left, but we know traditionally plays as a striker. So, there's that element of it as well. But you guys will have to let me know down below in the chat. Man, really, really light stream today. Not that many people joined in. It's pretty crazy. I don't know. Maybe there's something going on with my channel or something. My last video did really, really poor. And then on top of that, like, just getting, usually, like, my streams will start off kind of slow, but then, like, as they progress, we'll get more and more people, like, joining in, participating and stuff like that. I've seen, like, a lot less, which is just ass. And then, I don't know, maybe it has to do with something, the fact that I included SpeakPipe in my description for the two of them. Sometimes I know if you, like, include random websites, that gets flagged. Who knows, man? Who knows? But yeah, if anyone's watching, Arjun said, I feel like this season is going to be either the best season or the worst season with the worst signing window ever. I think it's going to be good. I think that there's a potential for a lot of future flops. Arjun said, bro, don't worry, just work, don't stop, the result will be there. I appreciate it, man. I really, really appreciate it. Going back to what you were saying, I definitely think this could. I worry about how competitive this season will be. I think there's a potential that Liverpool, with the signings that they made, now dominant Liverpool were last season, that there's a chance that that could be the case again this year. And obviously I'm a Liverpool supporter. I want us to win trophies, but from an unbiased perspective, a competitive Premier League is really, really great. So that kind of takes it into account as well. The fact that there is a chance that this could be non-competitive, and again, like last season, it was non-competitive at the top of the Premier League, and then at the bottom we saw just the same three teams go right back down. I hope that's not the case again this year, because even like when you get to the end of the season, if the title is all wrapped up, but there's a really, really interesting like relegation battle, that makes it really, really entertaining, at least for me. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the times, yeah, we've seen seasons where it's really, really competitive at the top of the table, but also we've seen ones like, we know, like last season, Liverpool, we knew months in advance that they were probably going to win the league. But if we had like a really juicy relegation battle, that's a lot of fun to watch for me. Or even like if there's a battle for top four, that's always interesting as well. So I think when you said it could be the best season, there's going to be a lot of changes, dude. You know what I think it is, Arjun? I think that this is going to be a season that, if you look at the teams from last season compared to this season, there's going to be some of the biggest changes, and there's going to be a bunch of changes to these teams that we haven't seen that level of change, throughout these teams in quite some time. So you look at like, you look at Spurs. Even Spurs are losing Sonny, but they've also brought in Kudus, and then you look at the likes of Manchester United. United were awful last year, but United now have both brought in Mbomo, Cunha, and there could be a chance that they bring in Sesko. It seems likely to me that they'll bring in Sesko. So for me, I look at that and I'm like, wow, there's a chance we see a completely new front three from United in their best case scenario. Chelsea, you guys, you have the likes of Liam Delap coming in, who I don't know if Delap will immediately start, but if you have Liam Delap coming off the bench, I mean, he came off the bench in the Club World Cup and nearly scored a screamer for you guys. There's a potential that he could really, really come good. Also, too, on top of that, I think João Pedro has looked good so far with Chelsea. And I'll be real, man, when you guys first made that signing, I was like, ooh, I could see this being a flop. Yeah, I don't think. Now, after seeing him perform in the Club World Cup, I would be shocked if that was a flop. You brought in Gittins as well. Where are you from? I'm from America. I'm from New Jersey, specifically in America. Where are you from, man? You gotta let me know. But yeah, I'm American. A lot of people, will give me stick, whether on the YouTube or on TikTok, for being America and talk about the football. But I love the football. And I always call it football when I do content, because that's what it should be called. But obviously I call it soccer. Oh, I'm from India. Nice, man. That's sick. That's what I love about doing this sometimes, is that you get to kind of like meet and talk to people from like across the world. So that's sick, dude. India popping up in the stream. I appreciate you staying with me, Arjun. That's awesome, man. I really do. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. I do a couple streams throughout the week, and then I try to put out a couple videos throughout the week as well. On my Twitter that pops up, TikTok, I put out like daily, weekly footballing content. Probably. All right, man, I need to go because it's late night here, and I gotta sleep, so I'm gonna leave. I've subbed and we'll be here. Keep it up. I appreciate it, Arjun. Thank you, brother. Have a good night, bro. I appreciate it a lot, man. Another subscriber. If anyone else is in the chat, definitely let me know. Let me know if there's any topics that you want to talk about. I'll definitely, any footballing related topics. If you guys would like to call in and leave a voicemail, my speak pipe is down below in the description. What that is it's basically an opportunity. If you click on the speak pipe link, you can leave a voicemail, and then I'll play the voicemail out loud on the stream. It's just kind of an opportunity to give anyone that watches the opportunity to talk. If you don't want to, obviously, let me know if there's any other football topics that you guys want to talk about down below in the chat, and I'll talk about it as well. For sure. A lot going on in the Premier League and world football in general, to be honest with you. There's so many moves, so many potential moves, everything, here, there, and everywhere. I even saw this Carlos Baleba to Manchester United. That could be a chance as well. That's really, 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 really sick if you're a United fan, for sure, which I am not, of course, but, hey, I like to cover United. Sometimes I almost feel as though, while I'm a Liverpool fan, sometimes I feel like talking about United could be more fun, because it's a situation where I feel like they need to improve. Where Liverpool, there's obviously always room for improvement. But, there's obviously less areas that we really, really need to improve on. So like I said, if anyone's in the chat, let me know if there's any football topics you want to talk about, whether it's on the screen, off the screen. Feel free to leave a voicemail if you guys are following along as well. The link for that is in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel too if you like the content. I don't have a ton of subs yet, so really trying to build that up. Really trying to stream to you guys. a couple times throughout the week. I also have a TikTok. If you guys have TikTok, I know I probably just said this to the same group of people who have been on stream. So yeah. But otherwise, if nobody has any other topics that they want to talk about, I might pop off for the day. But I'll stay on as long as anyone has any topics. If anyone has anything that they want to talk about. But it doesn't look like we got a lot going in the chat, so give it another like 30 seconds to a minute. Like I said, I'll stay on as long as you guys want, as long as you guys have anything to talk about, but seems like the chat's kind of gone a little dead, so if that's the case, I might just pop off. All right. Anyone watching, which I don't even know if anyone's watching at this point, have a great night. I will see you guys on the next one.